Hey guys, what's going on? It's Lefty from 643 Productions and the Darth Empire. See, it's my channel. 643 Productions is going first, even though I love the Darth Empire, not in that way. Even though I am happy that they have taken me under their wings, so to speak. This is my channel. 643 Productions goes first and always will. And a lot of you have asked me, before I get into anything, a lot of you have asked me where 643 Productions came from. What is the genesis of that name, of that production company? And for any of you that have seen, or my answer can best be summed up by watching High Fidelity, the movie High Fidelity with John Cusack. In it, he plays a neurotic-ish record store owner. And he's always talking about his top 5 records, his top 5 this, top 5 that, top 5 albums, top 5 grunge albums, whatever. And through the storyline of the movie, through the plot, he comes to discover some young artists, some young music artists that are really, really talented, really good, and he wants to put out a record for them and obviously make it big in the record business like he has always wanted or like he has always dreamed. And somebody asks him, or the artist asks him, after he approaches them out of the blue about distributing their record or their album, and they ask him and say, well, what's your production company? And he deadpans it, just thinks for a second. He says top 5 records, obviously the play being that he had always been talking about throughout the movie, his top 5 this, top 5 that, so top 5 records. So I thought, I've been doing a radio show called 643 Sports for the last 3 years, and what better way to pay homage to that than to call my, quote, production company 643 Productions. It's just me and a laptop and my Xbox and an HD PVR, and that's it. There's really nobody else. My boy FedEx will join me in the sports stuff if we ever get that going with Machinima Sports, but that's about it. That's it. That's where it stops. That's 643 Productions. It's just me. It's just a name that I thought was a little cool and also just a little kind of tribute to where I've come from and how I've come along on this whole trek that is life. Hate to wax that poetic about it, but that's the way things are. Anyway, I want to talk with you here today on a serious note. For those of you that do follow me on Twitter, by the way, do so if you don't already. And if you don't have a Twitter, get one and follow me, Lefty643. Once again, that's Lefty643 on Twitter, just like my gamer tag, just like you see in all my videos. Lefty643. Find me on Twitter, follow me. It'll be a great time. But anyway, for those that follow me on Twitter, you saw a bit of a dust-up, I guess you could say, between David Vonderhaar and myself. And he actually replied to me more than once. It's not like I was just saying a bunch of crap at him and he didn't respond. He did respond to me more than once. And I will admit that I was peeved. Usually that happens after a bad round of sniping. I get peeved and I want to tweet horrible things at him. But this one I was upset, and I used a tactic that isn't befitting of this is what I said actually in a long tweet, that isn't befitting of the intellectual standard that I hold to myself. And I acted like a troll. I started calling him a putz and inferring that he was a moron, even though I may think he is kind of, but whatever. But I started doing all those things out in the public eye, and I want to apologize to, first of all, to David Vonderhaar. I know he's probably not going to watch this, so it doesn't really matter, but I just want to get it on record. I want to apologize publicly for that. That was demonstrating really bad and poor form on my part. And I apologize for that. That is not what I have come to expect from myself, and that is not what I have come to expect from other, quote, intellectual people, which I believe David Vonderhaar at least must be if he's the lead developer in a pretty big development studio. So I apologize to that, and I apologize to all of you because I got a couple of tweets from followers that were kind of miffed at how I was acting. They couldn't make it match up with the persona that I have on YouTube. And for those of you that felt that way, for those of you that got that vibe, I apologize to you as well. Again, that was bad, poor form on my part, what I began doing yesterday, how I started, and I apologize for that. That was my fault. My emotions and my ambitions got the best of me, and I let them take control of how I view things, how I react, and how I express my reactions and what I think. And I apologize both to you and to David Vonderhaar for the way that that went about. Now, on that note, there is a really, really, really interesting tidbit after I've been thinking about it for a while that I found. Now, originally I was tweeting at David Vonderhaar about fixing the spread ADS timer when you're sidestepping or moving in any way, and he called me a cyberbully after I was bullying him and being a jackass, and again, I apologize for that. But there was a Treyarch fanboy that started to jump on my case. His name on Twitter was I'm Mad Smart Bro. Just, I guess, a typical Treyarch fanboy. If you look at who he's following, it's JD 2020, David Vonderhaar, and 402. I guess so he's not a complete Treyarch fanboy, but that's about it as to who he's following. But when I was talking about the original sniping patch, or when I was tweeting about that, I was talking about how poorly thought out it was. He sent me a couple tweets, sent a couple tweets my way that I thought were pretty interesting. He said, "Stifu Lefty, no one wants idiots doing 360s off of roofs like an S&D and like in Modern Warfare 2. Quick scoping is dead, thank God." Now, of course, I took that as typical Treyarch fanboyism. Okay. And one thing, I started tweeting him back. I said, well, you know, you can't, my standard, you have no idea how many people were doing it, and that if those people were removed, those slots wouldn't be taken by other just bad players overall. But he said this. He said, it was a plan to stop the infestation of QSers. It has worked. Now he can slowly bring them back to World at War standards. And I thought, well, that would be pretty shady on his part if he knowingly, from launch day, made sniper rifles as bad as possible so as to stop sniping, to put the brakes on popular sniping altogether. Then this came from David Vonderhaar. This is directly from David Vonderhaar, at me. I don't need to say any more, as I'm Mad Smart Bro has already said. And that is right after the tweet of the one I listed earlier. It was a plan to stop the infestation of QSers. So there you have it, straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Sniper rifles from day one of Black Ops, from launch day, probably before, obviously, were meant to be as horrible as possible. Just a little tidbit on the engineering side of TV broadcasting. There's what they call in the engineering handbook for TV broadcasting, they have what they call a customer squeal point, and that is the lowest quality that can be broadcast before the broadcasting company's offices are overrun with calls or letters complaining about the low broadcast standards. That is what Treyarch did to snipers. Straight here, it's straight from David Vonderhaar. He all but said it. And there's another tweet after this as well. I tweeted him something about his undying dedication to defense of his position. He says, "Take issue with the undying dedication to defense of position, only because I've did exactly what I said I was going to do. Slowly unnerf them until I find something I'm happy with." That is, there it is, an admission that he knew, that Treyarch knew what they were doing to sniper rifles from day one. They purposefully they were wanton in murdering sniping, just taking a hatchet to it, and it's right here. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to, probably because that will cause Treyarch to complain to Activision, who will go to all my videos and flag them all for copyright infringement or whatever. But let me ask you this: is that the kind of man that you want to buy another video game from? Another $60 video game? Or perhaps a video game in which you have to pay a monthly fee now in the next installment or next few installments to play online? Is that the kind of company that you want to be investing your money into? I have my answer. I know what I'm going to do. Now what are you going to do? The viewer, what are you going to do? Let me know in the comments. And I've always said that I'm kind of above the blatantly asking for likes and favorites, but if you could do me one thing, like, favorite, and comment the hell out of this video, if you please. If you like it, if you like this topic, if you like where this has gone, this kind of seedy underbelly of the development of Black Ops. But if you want to see this, if you want some real change to come to not only sniping in Black Ops, but just the gaming industry as a whole, I think this can be sort of a starting point. Not the quote, not the turning point and everything, but I think it can be a starting point. Like, favorite, and comment the hell out of this video. Post it to websites. Show your friends. Say, hey, check this out. Check that out. This is what David Vonderhaar said. The tweets are all at me on my Twitter profile. Again, Lefty643. Hey, that's a nice plug right there. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter, Lefty643. Anyway, guys, that's my time. I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'm out.